Welcome to Tales from the Drive-In. Grab some popcorn and tune in as we discuss all the wondrous curiosities of the world on and off the screen. I am your co-host, BJ Seura, a paranormal musician, filmmaker, and cosplayer with an eye for all things horror. So welcome to Tales from the Drive-In. This is our season 2 premiere. So I'd like to welcome first my new co-host Chakira down here.
Hello, everyone.
And where are you at right now?
I'm in Paris.
Okay.
France.
Yeah. And what time is it there?
It is 9:40 p.m.
Oh, okay, that's not too bad then. Mm-hmm. I thought it was later than that, but nice. And then we have our two amazing guests today from the Light in the Fog podcast. This is Trai and Jenny. Hello. One is a transgender Gen Z, one is a psychic medium Gen X. Both are artists, activists, and mentally ill, and very down for the metaphysical, which we will definitely get into. And the horror. Everything. And filmmaking, and you name it, they're fans and they're professionals, and they're just amazing, amazing people. So, and happy Halloween, everybody. This is great.
Happy Halloween to everyone. And welcome, Trai and Jenny.
Yeah, this is such a good time. I never done a live on this podcast or on Halloween, so it's pretty good times.
We better deliver. Chakira, are you in the catacombs for Halloween?
I'm not. I'm not even sure that the catacombs are open during Halloween because they have very specific hours to visit them. But there are a lot of stories about people getting in the catacombs without the official way. Because, for the catacombs, there are several entrances. So, of course, there is the official one for touristic people, etc. And then you have the secret entrance for everyone who has the keys of the city keys, or with an explorer or something like that.
Wow. Ooh, fascinating. See, I always thought it was just a horror movie waiting to happen.
It is a horror movie. It's
there
one
is
of my
one.
faves.
Very bad, by the way, but there is one.
Oh, there is one. Oh,
yeah.
Well done.
That's awesome. So, I guess we can jump into it a little bit. So I wanted to get into some paranormal stuff to start with because it is Halloween. Just paranormal stories. I mean, Chakira was just talking about the catacombs, but if there's anything else, Chakira, first, do you have anything that you have for us as far as a ghost story or something where you're in your area?
Yeah, I have an interesting story. It's coming from Denver, so I don't know if you want it because I heard it from Wesley.
Sure.
So he showed me pictures that his friends took while staying at the Stanley Hotel. And they were seeing a very specific shade, a blurred white shape fog in the background of the picture. And they really check and analyze to see if there were anything that may explain this shape and this form, etc. And there was not. So they were very confused about this picture. And yeah, this is the latest news I had.
Okay, nice.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we could do the entire hour on the Stanley Hotel.
Yeah, I know.
I've got stories about the Stanley Hotel.
I've never
You've been there, Trai?
Oh, sure.
Okay, how many times?
It's like Casa Bonita. There's certain things you have to do when you live in Colorado.
I heard about this restaurant so much.
Oh, next time you come out, they're open again, thanks to the South Park guys.
Mm-hmm.
So here's one of my favorite Stanley Hotel stories. My sister-in-law very much wanted to get married there, And I don't know how to boil her down except to say she's batshit. She's just a nutty, nutty human being. Very aggressive, very angry. I don't know how she got this guy to marry him. And he was just going along with it, going along with it. So they go to the Stanley Hotel and they get the bridal suite. And there's nothing but fighting because that's kind of how that family rolls. And somebody notices that there's a wet patch in the carpet over in one of these corners. And my brother-in-law goes over and he actually takes the grill off because he wants to see what's behind the wall to see where the leak is coming from. And y'all, there's no plumbing back there whatsoever. Zero plumbing. They call the hotel, they come up with the wet vac, they dry out the carpet. The fighting starts again. And the carpet is soaked again, and they had to come and wet vac it like 3 times. And I know that's not like a ghost thing. Like, I've got pictures of orbs at the Stanley Hotel, but that freaked me out that the ghosts were like, "Stop fighting! You're getting married. You're supposed to be happy today."
I mean, it's still scary because when you don't have a rational explanation, it is scary, even if it's not like something weird to see, etc. Like a leak is usually very common. But when you have like zero explanation behind, this is more.
Yeah.
So what is that? Ectoplasm?
No idea. I mean, I've heard of, water coming in at different places in different ways, but this was, we never tried to explain it because there wasn't an explanation. It was just rage water.
Rage water.
Rage water.
I think the marriage lasted about 3 years.
Why is
awesome.
the floor wet, Todd? I don't know, Margot.
That's awesome. And then my other favorite one was I had sprained my ankle at Lollapalooza, of course, and we had decided to go to the Stanley Hotel just for fun, so I'm on crutches. And it's quite a bit of a drive from where I was at, so really we needed to use the restroom. They're like, oh, the fastest one is to go into the downstairs area. So there's, that's where the psychic booth is, it's not the tourist area. And I go to the bathroom and it's got like 4 stalls and it's got this great deco, black and white flooring. And I hobble over. And as I'm coming out, and I'm in a lot of pain. I mean, a sprained ankle. Like I really did a doozy on myself. And as I come out of the stall, the bathroom door is now about 50 feet away. And somehow the bathroom had elongated. And I was like, that's not very nice, you guys. Put the bathroom back. No explanation on that one.
Yeah, how do you
either.
explain it? Do you think like just the pain was like making this hallway just longer and longer, or something else?
I would love it if it was a psychosomatic thing, but I have seen so many things in my life. I simply accepted that they were messing with me.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear more about that.
Which is why I'll never go to the catacombs when I come to Paris.
You shouldn't. So many spirits.
I want to go to the catacombs. I don't
You're
know.
welcome, Jenny, anytime.
Yeah.
That's right. You come back and tell us how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that I have any like crazy spooky stories because I've never like seen ghosts a whole lot. But there is one time, the only time I've ever actually seen any sort of entity, we actually conjured it. So I don't even know
Whoops.
if whoopsie. Well, it was on purpose. It wasn't an accident. We did this on purpose. But yeah, it was basically like, I don't remember what those the black mirrors that you look at. I don't remember what they're called right now. Scrying. It was kind of like scrying, except we did it with a full body mirror. And somebody I was with who has a lot of ghosts attached to them, found out that one of the people attached to me wasn't very nice or friendly, probably. And so we were like, oh, let's figure it out. And so we lit a candle, and just only had the light of the candle and, put it near the mirror. And Ollie sat down across from it. And then I sat down on the wall next to so that I could see myself in the mirror, but I wasn't looking at myself. And as soon as I sat down, Ollie's face had changed. And instead of Ollie's face, there was now a man's face projected over Ollie. And it was very spooky and just very creepy. And we started asking him questions and found out that he was connected to one of my past lives, probably, and that they involved a woman who got sick. And eventually I started seeing the woman's face, and like the best way I could describe it is like old timey projector, that's very much like it was being projected over his face. And I was seeing a different face than he was seeing at one point. And it was like, whoa, this is real. This is what seeing a ghost is like. I guess not always, probably, but like, it was very surreal to be in that moment for the first time seeing a ghost, especially when you never had, and also connecting with it. And when we first started the lesson, Ollie heard the ghost say "break its neck," which was in reference to this wooden goose that I have named Gertie. We love Gertie. And later on, near the end of the connection, Ollie saw the ghost's hands around my neck, and then heard it say "break its neck" again.
Oh,
So
how
yeah,
rude.
yeah, that one was pretty scary. So
Wow.
got threatened by a ghost. And yeah, I don't know. It's kind of the gist of it. We ended up closing the circle after a while, just because it started getting pretty intense. And so we closed the pathway, because part of the way we opened it was by spreading ash in front of the mirror and then lighting a candle. And so we broke the ash line and blew out the candle. And then we did a calling the corners cleansing after that and just cleared the energy. So yeah.
And I love that you're giving like the how-tos, except Jenny's leaving out like two pieces of it. So it's just like MacGyver. Like it would work if you had the other two things.
I don't remember what the other two were.
Oh my gosh. So there's something about
Wow.
ghosts and choking. I've got a great ghost trying to kill me story that involved choking as well. So I came home to visit my family in Colorado, and my sister was really, they were hanging out with this new group of people. There was kind of a party house. They had like a deep fryer, like it was a big deal in the 90s, man. And, kegs in the kitchen. And I was like, this is really odd. I don't know why my sister and her husband are hanging out with these party people. She's like, you have to see this house. And I don't know. She was just acting kind of weird. And we get there and we go through the main room and there's a football game going because it's Colorado and that's what you do. And, and I'm stopping to say hello to everybody. And she's like, no, come with me. By the way, my sister has fibromyalgia and she's mobility impaired.
Okay.
She doesn't move really well. And she's like, come with me, come on. And she takes me down this stairwell that's painted red. And I immediately was like, well, this isn't going to be good. We get down there and she's showing me the basement. So just to give the setup here, there's sliding glass doors that go out to a carport. There's a little room that has like a bunch of storage, like tools and stuff. And then there's two bedrooms back here. And she starts me off in the bedroom. And one of the bedrooms has like a crawl space that should have, a cardboard or something, wall. There should be wall there, but it's not. It's dead open. And being a psychic, I looked at it and I was like, oh, we're in trouble. There's something in that crawl space that I don't, and so I wouldn't go in the room. And she's kind of dragging me around, and the guy who lived in the house slept in the next room, which I thought was really weird because there's a whole upstairs with like, a keg and a deep fryer. So we go into, she goes into the room with the tools. And I start feeling really faint and hot, and it's just weird. And she's like showing me these tools. And I was like, why is my sister showing me these tools? And things just got very hazy. And all of a sudden she looks at me and it's like she snaps out of it. And she goes, we have to get out of here. And again, my sister has fibromyalgia and she sprinted out through the glass doors. We opened and got out, but there was a van out there, this like old, like, remember from the 70s, man, one of those old, Mr. T kind of vans. So we had to get around the van and we raced out into the yard. And I felt like somebody was choking me. And I knew some martial arts. So I'm doing all of these hold breaks. But there's nothing there, by the way, but I can feel it. It's choking me out. And I pull off my sweater, and she's like, get in the car. We have to get out of here. And we go to her house, but I wouldn't go in her house because I knew the thing was still on me and was still choking me. So postscript, after we figured, and I just stayed in the yard and I put it in the ground because I didn't know what I was doing. I was like 23 and just like, put it in the ground, don't take it in the house. And what we had figured out had happened, because all this information came in right after it, was she had been possessed by a serial killer who used to live in the house. And I was his next victim, and he usually killed the girls that he would pick up. Guys, there was no van in the carport. The carport was empty. But it's like we had rolled back in time to this time, and I knew without a shadow of a doubt that if they had dug out that crawl space, that they would have found bodies. I never went back to that house again, and I didn't understand why anybody did. But it was, the weird atmospherics of the house. Like, everybody behaved more exaggerated. Everybody drank more. Everybody fought more in this house. Like, haunted houses are a real thing. There's real energy going on in these places that can change your personality. And my sister said that the reason that she had snapped out of it was because my face was beet red, and the part in my hair had gone completely white. And it was that moment she realized that we were completely 100% under a ghost attack. Ooh.
That's so crazy.
Wow, yeah.
That's wild.
Did she remember anything after that?
She said that she felt really like hazy, just hazy. Was she wasn't aware that there was somebody in her body, but she was aware that she was not behaving like she normally does.
But did she remember the part where she was like showing you the tools, etc.?
Yeah, my sister doesn't know tools.
Yeah, I mean, it's very real. Like, oh,
It was really
go
odd.
check some tools with me.
And I'm just sitting there like an idiot being like, okay, she's showing me tools. And meanwhile, there's
Why not?
bodies buried in the next room.
Oh God, that's so scary. That reminds me of like the Black Phone movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know this one. What is this?
Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke.
Very good one.
Came out, I think, 2 years now? Maybe?
2 years.
Yeah, but basically, kids get kidnapped. They get taken to the basement, murdered, basically. And then this one kid gets kidnapped, and it's him talking to ghosts, basically, to try to survive.
That's fantastic. That's my childhood.
It's really good.
Basements are not good, people.
And also a van is included, and also
There's
in the
always a van.
70s.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
It's the
True.
70s. All the creepers had vans. And it's kind of sad, but women were trained. It's like you didn't park your car next to a van. If you came out of a place and you saw that a van had packed next to your car, like you went and you got somebody to help you get in your car. You just simply assumed that a van meant like danger.
It's risky.
Was it like that in France as well?
Way less than in the US because, I mean, we don't have the same history with serial killer, etc. But nowadays, more and more, I think as a woman, with everything that is happening, and today with internet, everyone is sharing their experience and their traumatic experience as a woman. So I think maybe there is like more awareness about that, and today everything is recorded. We have like some camera, so you can see some thrill to get someone kidnapped. So I think yes, today women are more aware than before. I mean, in the 80s, 70s, even 90s, I feel like everyone was like feeling super safe, feeling super free, and now we're like, fishy.
I don't ever remember a time of feeling safe as a female, whether it was
true.
physical dudes or if it was like ghosts. Yeah, we had ghosts in our basement. My mom would send me downstairs to like go get something out of the pantry, and I would get so messed with. It'd be terrifying, absolutely terrifying. I don't do basements.
Yeah, basements are
So
scary.
can I ask you, Trai, when it started for you? Like, how old were you when you had your first experience and you were like, something happening?
That first memory in the basement was probably around 7 or 8. I blocked out a lot of my childhood, honestly. So who knows? But that was the first time I really connected the feeling of being hunted, and knowing that, like, because basements, y'all, like there's things that happened in that land before that building ever got there. And I feel like in Paris, it's got to be so interesting that the buildings are so old. So there's got to be
The country is so old.
endless, yeah, and like, which is why I don't go to Europe, because it's just too much, man.
You never been to Europe at all?
I went to Ireland and I had some lovely experiences there with some metaphysical stuff. Because it doesn't always have to be bad, but it's Halloween, so we're telling the scary stories.
Yeah, we're telling the bad ones.
Yeah, BJ, you have stuff too, don't you?
Oh, I mean, sort of. Mine are kind of more funny, and some of them are scary. So I have one where, and it was a recurring thing. So those of you that have suffer from paralysis, right? Like the sleep paralysis stuff, you probably know this as well. So when you have sleep paralysis, you wake up, like your eyes, you can move around, but you can't move. Your body's just numb, and you have to wake yourself up, right? Your whole body's got to wake up, or go back to sleep. And so on numerous occasions, I would have, the only thing I could describe is as like a little kid above me, just staring me down. And the form it took was like, almost like, it's like the 3D ultrasound kind of images, like a almost blobbish, like a blob kind of thing. It was kind of like that, it was weird. It was that a few different times. And then one time in particular, I was sleeping on the couch, just fell asleep. I was watching movies, and I woke up in the middle of the night and sleep paralysis. And then there's just these feet that walk in front of me.
What?
And yeah, and it's not anybody that's in my family. It's just something else just walking by, and I'm just sitting there or laying there, and I can't move. And you try to scream or something, but usually it's just like because you can't get anything out. And like I haven't actually had sleep paralysis in a couple years now, but I've had a lot of experiences with, I would say, spirits in that realm, because that's when I'm connected to spirits the most. And the funny one was, and this one's happened a couple of times, where I'll just be laying in my bed and I'm just in my underwear, just sleep. And then I wake up and I'm almost like embarrassed. Like I feel like I need to put on some pants. Like
Someone's watching me.
Yeah, no, it was very much like I need to put on some shorts or something. Like, this is weird. And there's obviously nobody in the house or nothing going on, but it's just that weird feeling, right? Somebody's just
when you're being watched.
Yeah.
So is this in the same place that all of these paralysis events are happening?
No, different places.
So it's you.
Yeah, but it's been years. It's been probably like 3 years, 4 years since my last time. So I can feel it kind of coming on. Usually it's when I'm sleeping on my back. That's when it happens for whatever reason. But I don't like to sleep on my back anyway, because it's not comfortable. So now it's more of the astral projection stuff and all the other fun things that happens to me now with dreams. And so that's what I dig. That's what I'm all about now. And so, but
do you think when you started getting into investigating haunted sites and you started learning about like protections and stuff, do you think that made a difference for you?
I think so. I think just being exposed to all that stuff just makes you more mindful of things, and you're just a little bit more, I don't know, like, because I'm a little OCD with stuff, like even like cleanliness, just washing my hands and stuff. And so when it comes to like spiritual stuff, it's the same thing. Like, it's like, wait a minute, did I smudge every inch of my body? Let's figure this out. Like, not, just covering my bases. It's like, so this one time, I'll just take quick story. I was at the Abbey Monastery in Canyon City, Colorado, and we had a really bad experience with the spirit where, like, the spirit box was telling us this lady's...
What's a spirit box? Sorry to interrupt.
Spirit box is just it's just a tool that we use to talk to spirits that they can connect to.
Is it electronic?
So it's you use we use a Windows tablet that because it's just a Windows program. It's not even an app. It's its own thing. But yeah, it can talk to us through that. And we've gotten a lot of really crazy things coming from it. Because one, you would think, well, it's electronic. But it's not connected to the internet or anything. It's whatever you hear is whatever you hear. And so, is it real? Is it not real? But in this situation, the spirit box called out the name of this lady that was with us, her son's name, but it wasn't just his first name, it was his middle name as well. And so we were kind of freaked out about it because nobody had ever said his middle name at all. And they were actually kind of having some family issues at the time. Very, very sad personal stuff. And I think we were thinking that this entity attached to them because they were going through something so traumatic. And so our REM pod is basically, it just makes a really loud noise if you cross over it with something, right? We put that in the front of the door, in front of the opening of the entrance where we were, and it wouldn't stop going off. It was like this spirit was just standing there, not letting us out. And then the guy that was with us, he had to get up and leave the room. He's like, I gotta leave. And I asked him later, I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, I had this overwhelming feeling that I needed to punch you in the face. Like me, like he was very mad. Yeah. I was like, and he's like the nicest guy you ever meet. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I got this just overwhelming feeling like something took over me that just wanted to attack you. So I had to leave. And so he left. And then it was just me and these two ladies, and we started playing music, and we thought that would make the mood better. Something. I don't know what we were thinking, but it didn't help. And
well,
so
it was disco, so ghosts do not respond well to disco.
No. But I felt this overwhelming feeling, like you guys, I'm sure, have felt the feeling where it's like your spidey sense when you see something out of the corner of your eye get thrown at you, and you're like, It was that, but out of nowhere. And I'm like, why do I feel this way? And so we just got out of there. And then this lady, who is also a medium, came up, and we told her the whole thing. And she's like, well, I have some sage if you guys want to be smudged and all that. And so we did all that. We did the grounding stuff. And when she came up to me, she was like, you don't need this. I'm like, what? She's like, oh yeah, you got some guardian angels. You got spirit, helping you. You're good. I'm like, well,
still,
can you please do it still?
Just in case.
Just calm my OCD mind a little bit and just do it anyway. And she did it. But so that was, yeah. So from then on, I always try to carry around some sage with me or some different things that we say whenever we're leaving or getting there. Right. And Trai, you help me out with that too. Just whenever you reach a place, you ask for permission. Say, we're here with good intentions. We're not here to piss off anybody. We're here to communicate. And if you'd like, and can we please join you in your space, kind of thing, right?
That's a nice thing to do. I like to just do lots and lots of protection. I'm going to call them evocations. As somebody who is constantly not paying attention, but if I wanted to, I could see things constantly, but I don't want to. So I will look for means to like shut stuff down and use cloaking shields and stuff like that.
So Trai, if Chakira, you don't know this about Trai, but she just has an insane amount of gifts, and she can see and hear and all of the things. And so
I smelled something the other day. I'm sorry.
I have tons of questions for you, Trai, just from what you said. So I'm just listening to you very carefully because this is fascinating for me.
I started smelling things recently, so that's like a new Claire, and I don't even know which Claire that is because there's like Claire.
New power unlocked.
Yeah.
Didn't Mel warn you about that?
Do you smell things? You do, don't you?
Me? No, but I was saying when we had Mel Coons on, she was like, be wary of starting to smell things, and so I was wondering if Mel had warned you about that.
I don't know. It was a temporary thing. We'll see if it carries on.
Yeah.
I think we all have access to the otherworldly, and it's different for everybody. Sometimes I think it's just you're just aware, you just know that there's more to this world. So maybe just as kids you watch a lot of horror movies, or as grown-ups you watch a lot of horror movies because you know it's affirming something on some level, that you just know that there's more going on. And you know, Jenny is a witch, so her connection to the metaphysical goes down those kinds of paths. And
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
do you want to
Well, I was just gonna
please?
say, like, I don't see things. I feel them though. So I can usually tell when there's a presence in whatever space that I'm in. And normally if I look wherever it is, I can like feel that I'm looking at it, very similar to that spidey sense you were talking about, BJ, where it's like you just get goosebumps all over and just chills all down you. And so I will regularly feel things. The spirit that was in my bathroom for a little bit, the bathroom that's behind me, that door there, it would regularly make contact with me in the middle of the night, you know, and just run its finger down my back, which wasn't very polite. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, I feel things, but I haven't started seeing things regularly yet, unless I'm like going out of my way to see things, like my story with Ollie. I would say I connect more with like uh, spirits tied to plants and stuff, if that makes sense, like plant medicine spirits and stuff like that. Not necessarily harmful things and things you have to have more intention with. So I'm very lucky that nothing messes with me unless I ask it to. Normally, knock on wood. Also, speaking of being messed with, I'm gonna fix my glare real quick. It's really bothering me. I'm sorry. Give me a
Yeah,
second,
no
but y'all can
worries.
keep
Do it.
talking.
Go ahead.
Do it. Yeah, that makes me think of when I was a kid. I would I could talk to plants, not plants, trees. Like if you put your hands on, you know, the trunk of a tree, and you just listen or feel for it, you can get a sense of like the personality. And when I was first doing it, I didn't pay much attention to it, but when I started noticing that each tree had a different vibe to it, then I was like, oh, look at that. So like what Jenny's talking about, you know, plant spirits. I don't know. Are there trees in Paris? Do you get to hug
Yeah.
trees?
I mean, I think you can easily find someone hugging trees because in Paris, this is like the most normal thing you will see compared to the other crazy things that are happening. So no, it's very common to have like this connection with nature. But just, I have a question because when you were talking about basement, it reminded me a story I had. So I'm coming from south of France, and I grew up in a very old house, like big old and house. And my parents, when they bought it, the whole village, because it was a small village, warned my parents and were like, do not buy this house. This house is cheap because it's haunted. A guy killed himself there.
Oof.
So my mom went to the, how to say that, like council to get the information about the house, and she found out that this house used to hide French soldier during World War II. So she called her father, being like, "Yeah, I have like 4 young kids. I don't want to move in a house where there are like some bad vibes or ghost stories or anything like that." And my granddad just told her, like, you know what? Just have some faith and just wait 1 day or two, and I'm sure you're going to have a sign from the universe or something like that that will lead you to make the right decision. So she told me, like, when she went back from the council, like after like having all this information, she found like just in front of the house some money, like a huge amount of money, and not coins. What do we call that? Not the coins, but the
Just bills,
Bills?
yeah,
paper
exactly,
money.
bills. Yeah, like the paper, not the coins. And she was like, "Oh well, this is maybe a good sign that it's okay to live in this house." So anyway, a lot of things were happening in the house, like nothing very too visible, but I was scared all the time. Like I was having like so much insomnia because I was always scared. And growing up, like this happened like maybe 3 years ago. So I was visiting my parents. I was living in Paris, and I wanted to do some exercise. I think it was like even COVID. So I was doing jumping rope, and I went to the basement because it was the only place like very flat to do that. So the basement was like the whole area house was a basement. So it was a very huge one. So I was doing like my jumping rope. And of course, it was like a very clean room area where nothing will bother my jumping rope. So nothing was blocking the rope. And at some point, I'm like, putting music in my headset and just doing my exercise. And I felt like something holding the rope. So I turned and I was like, what is it? So I made the move again slowly to see where the rope could have been dragged to. And there was nothing. Like, it was just an empty, super empty. The roof was very big. Everything was clear around me. So I was like, okay. But with this small feeling of, I didn't find any explanation. So what this happened? So I did it again. And then the rope was very dragged again. And I just ran away. Mm-hmm. I was like, my heart started beating super fast. And I just ran and I arrived to my mom. And I was like, this is what's happened. And she was like, yeah, well, maybe you should not disturb them.
Oh, because it's your fault.
Maybe don't do that.
What do you think by them? Because our whole life, my mom was telling us there is nothing wrong with this house. You are just watching true horror story. If you're scared, this is your fault. I know you are watching movies you shouldn't be watching, because I was watching horror movies super young. So she always says that, but she confessed to us this story about, everything they found out about the house. And then she told me, yeah, something happened to me too. She told me she was in her bed alone. My dad was absent and he was on a trip. And she was starting to fall asleep and she was saying her prayer. And she felt like a huge weight, just like, how to say that, like pushing the mattress down.
Nope.
Like someone were joining her in the bed.
Nope.
And it was the first time in my life when I heard my mom saying, I was very, very scared. She's a very religious woman. So usually it's not, I'm not scared. I have my faith in God. Nothing scares me. All these things are just in our head. This doesn't exist. And for the first time when she told me this story, I was like, wow. So there is definitely something in this house.
Wow.
And she had protections. She had her divine protections, and yet whatever was there, it had such ownership of that space, and it was able to cross through and make contact physically. I think that's the point. Like, I don't like the feeling stuff you can kind of manage, but once it starts, like like Jenny, like having it run its finger down your back, or you having your jump rope. Nope. What did Eddie Murphy say? Sorry, baby, we can't stay. Gotta go.
That's just crossing consent boundaries at that point. So, of course, I wouldn't let a normal person just randomly touch my back without my permission, much less somebody who's a ghost.
A ghost? What bothers me is that all of you are talking about these stories. They're like, yeah, in the basement. I'm in the basement right now.
Yeah, but you like this stuff, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I have open chairs for them, if they want to come and sit down and join us. But yeah.
How wholesome.
Right.
And you can have a dummy supper tonight because it's, I always pronounce it wrong. It is Halloween, but it's also Diwali, but it's also Samhain. Thank you. Yeah. And there's a ritual that you can do called a dummy supper, where you just, the dummy part is just being silent, but serving up meals for ancestors or for any, entities that you might want to make contact with. And the whole goal is just to be quiet, and then just kind of see what comes in. So BJ, why don't you do that and come back and tell us how it goes?
What happened?
Well, yeah, I mean, and especially with Dia de los Muertos, same thing, right? Like I'm actually really excited about that because a year ago tomorrow, right, is when I had my dream where I died and came back and connected with potential ancestors and all of that. And so we'll see if that happens again. So I'm hoping, but I don't know. I mean, it'll happen when it happens, I guess, but we'll see.
Yeah. That's lovely. See, that's a good positive, wholesome. I like Jenny's word, a wholesome encounter with the
Wholesome
metaphysical.
ghosts. Yeah.
Yeah, not everything has to be like attacking,
Yeah.
entities. It can be ancestors, not just ancestors. It could be like just past loved ones, right? That you just lost recently, that kind of thing, right? So,
But I think that when it's the first time, even if it's like not a bad energy or bad spirit or bad, it's still very scary.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
especially if you're alone. I mean, as far as I remember, I always been very scared to see anything. And at the same time, very curious. Like I want to see, I want to.
It's
I have
very
like this very
confusing.
current, yeah, I know, very current dream nightmare where I'm witnessing something like very visible, very graphical. I'm like, finally, I am having my proof. I am
Mm.
witnessing. Now there is no doubt anymore. I'm doing this stream like all the time. So yeah, I feel like it can be very scary and intimidating. I know there is an institute in Switzerland with doctors and psychologists and therapists. And this institute is dedicated to people who have experienced something paranormal. They are
Oh.
like helping them, hearing them, validating what they have been through, what they have experienced, and trying to help them to just keep their life knowing what happened. Because usually, I mean, here, the four of us are very aware that this is something true, this is something, I mean, we believe, and we are not, I mean, if someone came to us and told us, oh, I had this experience, we are not going to deny it or to laugh or whatever. We're going to believe this is our first reflex. But usually in society, people are like, yeah, there is an explanation. You must have dreamed that, or it's just your imagination, etc. So they were saying basically that those people, they came to them feeling very lonely, very depressed, very isolated. And I feel like this is a good initiative to have professional, to have some scientists be like, yeah, this is true, this can happen. And maybe we can't give you the exact answer you are expecting right now, but we are working on that.
Oh, I love that. I think that America shut all that down in the 60s
Yeah.
and the 70s. So we used to have, oh, Jenny, who was the guy with the LSD? Do you remember his name?
You're gonna have to narrow it
DJ?
down.
Sorry,
I know who I know what you're talking about.
Tim Leary. There he
Okay.
is. So there was some folks who were deep into the psychedelics, and this is another way to kind of punch through this reality and go into another. And the government was doing a bunch of studies, and
Yeah.
some of the richest people, some of the Rockefellers, were putting money into departments of consciousness at their alma maters. And let me tell you, the 80s came around and they just shut all of that down. So, those of us who came rolling in after that, we had nothing except for media, because media, of course, is carrying the light forward on all fronts at all times. And now I find that, once because I always knew it was true, but once I just started taking it seriously and started expanding to see what kinds of things I could get done with it, that's when I settled down with all of it. Doesn't mean that I can't still go by, a house that's got some badness. That's something I've always been able, I can just look at a building and be like, that place is haunted on the second floor in the left wing. And it's, this, like, I always know exactly what's going on, and I don't seek it out. So BJ, you're amazing to me that you want to have that connection with it.
Yeah, I think it's more that I don't have a clear picture like you with everything, and I think if I did, I would be more of your point of the way you go about it, right? I wouldn't want to, because I get it all the time anyway. So it's like, why would I want to keep searching it out? I need a break. I need to just be here on my own, and I don't need the external. Because I mean, being around around a lot of people is draining. But then if you have spirits on top of all of that,
Right.
good
Well,
and bad.
and I feel like, Trey especially is just, you're a special case where you were just sensitive to all of this from such a young age in such a hyper aware way
And
that
now I can smell
yeah, exactly. So it's like, of course, you have things messing with you constantly because they're like, oh, this
constantly.
person can see me and interact with me and like can hear what I have to say versus the rest of us where we're grasping at straws sometimes. So yeah,
But it's an evolution that once you start connecting to it, like you'll start finding
yeah.
people who have their experiences, and then you get to learn from them. And when I first started getting into this, it was all from the negative. I mean, you guys, I was under psychic attack like all the time, and my big ambition was to just try to stop, getting choked out by ghosts mostly. And then it turned, then it pivots because the further you get into it, the more all the good stuff comes in with it, like all the love, all the higher vibration. In America, we're coming up on an election, and almost everybody I know is losing their minds, and I'm like, meh. Doesn't mean I'm not keenly intellectually aware of what's up, but like I'm not going into the anxiety of it,
Yeah.
because I do feel like a lot of people are, whether they know they're doing it or not, they're drafting everybody else's anxiety. And that makes me wonder, because like in France, everything is so close together, and it's 10 minutes to the next country and their culture, and to me those are all different realities, and they all have their mythologies. Like, how do you sort all of that out living there?
I mean, the situation in France or compared to what's happened to the US?
It just living, because the thing in the US is a moment in time. I'm thinking more carrying all the history and all of the different cultures and the different
I believe
stories.
we just accept that it's part of us as a country. We have such a big, as you said, history and traumatic event that we are just like, okay, here's another one. Here's another one. We are
Maybe I'm
going to deal with it
French.
anyway.
I've got the French ennui.
Exactly. I mean, I think we are more detached and also maybe less optimistic than the US. I think the US people are usually, as you said, like in this very bad energy or positive energy, because it's still a young country. It still has a lot of hope. And I don't think in Europe, and especially in France, we don't have this mindset. We are more like, I mean, we have this reputation to be like always complaining, always unhappy. It is true. It is true, because I lived in the US, I traveled in the US in different states, and I'm born and I'm French, so I lived in France my whole life. I can definitely tell we are always complaining. We are always blaming someone. So we are aware of our own flow. We know that, if we are blaming the minority for everything that is going wrong in our country, the day you remove the minority, we will find someone new or something new to blame or something new to protest against. And it's a bad thing, but in the same time, I also like this about the country. I like the fact that we are not accepting things. We are just protesting and make our voice raise. So yeah, I think it's definitely a different mindset. And even when things are bad, you will always, especially here in Paris, see people outside, people going out, people having fun, etc.
So what does that do to your horror movies?
Yeah,
I was gonna
yeah, we switched to
say
politics.
I was gonna say one thing we do all have in common, though,
Yeah.
whether it be in France or here, is our love for horror, right? And spooky things, and that's why we're all here together. This is my favorite. I love this. I love being able to talk to you guys all. It's just so incredible to me that we can all connect on such a deep level when it comes to just all of the movies and all of the, because again, I don't know, what do you guys think? What brought you into horror? Like, what, maybe as a kid or
I mean, I know
even now?
I know, like, I think it was a number of things. You know, I think the Harry Potter movies really scarred me as a kid because there's some creepy moments in those movies. And
It's torturing small children.
yeah, like, and
It's
and I love them, and I'm sorry that I know they're problematic. Um, but like, I was also afraid of getting afraid. Like, I was deathly afraid of horror movies for a while. Um, and actually, one of the movies that I watch every year is I watch the Blade trilogy every year. And that was
There
one
you
of my
go.
first introductions to horror, even though it's not horror. Um, and I was afraid to even watch those movies for the first time.
how old were you?
Uh, 10, probably would be my guess. My cousin showed me them, so I wasn't supposed to be watching them. But yeah, my first true introduction to horror was the movie Sinister, and that's the first movie that ever gave me nightmares. Like true nightmares where I woke up in the middle of the night, like absolutely terrified. And I loved it. I loved it so much. And I
It's a
watched
very good one.
I watched it in the middle of the night and I had nightmares and I woke up and I immediately rewatched it because I'm like, if I'm afraid of this, I have to get unafraid of it. So
Yeah.
I watched it again. And after that, I fell in love with horror.
Which one is Sinister? I don't know
It's
this one.
another Ethan Hawke
Another
movie.
Ethan Hawke
Yeah.
is haunting
Yeah, and
you.
it's the found one where he finds videotapes in his attic of horrible murders
He's a
happening.
writer.
Yeah, he's a mystery murder writer. If you've never seen Sinister, Trey, I'm shook. Like you need to watch it. It's great.
Maybe just for you. All
Yeah.
right, so Sinister like kicked things off for you, but was there something that was going on specifically in that movie that like because I do find that people get attracted to certain subgenres of horror. Also,
I I feel like what Sinister does well is specifically the videotape scenes and the way they're filmed, the way they're done. It just feels very raw. It feels very real. It feels like you're actually witnessing a murder. And it was just the actual terror and the horror. And it was my first time being so afraid watching a movie and like feeling my heart race and feeling me sweat, and it brought me back to like watching scary Harry Potter scenes or whatever when I was a kid. And it's like you hate it but you love it. And I don't know, I would say from there I just like movies that are more visceral at times, or just more like they get you for one reason or another and they're actually rough to watch for a certain reason. I can't do like gore porn like Saw because it's just dumb. But like I want something that's smart, that's realistic, that's spooky, you know.
interesting. So you like movies that create that physical response.
Yeah,
That
that's
so it's
what
kind of that thrill junkie thing.
that's why I love the Suspiria remake as well, because that has one of the most graphic scenes I've ever seen in my life, and it's so good. It's so good.
Wow.
I like that too. I got yelled at by somebody because I saw that one before I saw the original,
I
which is
haven't seen the original.
oh, so we're in the same boat, but you should still watch the original.
I will.
What about you, Trey?
So I was watching horrors very early. So I lived in a house where the way I liken it is I had three roommates whom I saw on occasion, and I would get up in the middle of the night. I would actually set alarms for myself to get up in the middle of the night to watch TV because I'm a Gen Xer and we did things like that. And HBO had all the crazy things on in the middle of the night. So it was both like the sexiest stuff, but it was also the horror. And that is where I really first remembered. I couldn't tell you a single one of the movies because they were mostly junk, but it was just really underscoring the fear of darkness. So I was terrified of the dark pretty much my entire life. And as it turns out, there was reasons because there was things. I was living in haunted houses, and they were watching. They were watching the horror movie and being like, give it a B minus." But the horror for me started. I ended up spending a summer in one of the back bedrooms. We had a house guest, and they got my room. And in this back bedroom was my dad's collection of books. And my dad had things like Exorcist. and Jaws, and I think I was 10 or 11, and I read those. And you should not read these at 10 or 11. Maybe the same thing with Sinister at 10 is maybe that's just a little rough. Maybe that's a little much. So the books were. I can't begin to explain how terrifying those things were, because both of them were based in science. Peter Benchley actually studied sharks, and was bringing the science of sharks to, or at least what the understanding was at that time. Now we know that they could be a pet too. They could be your best friend too. I like to tell myself that when I'm going to the beach. It's like, no, the shark that I encounter is just a new friend I haven't made yet.
Yes.
But Jaws the movie, oh, forget about it. I didn't go in the ocean for decades. That movie messed me up so bad. And then Exorcist, because it was so grounded in, and I was one of those guys, I was a weird kid. I read a lot of mythology. I read a lot of history. So anything, so The Exorcist has about 200 pages of demon mythology. We're going to call it mythology for fun. But again,
Reality, whatever you want to call it.
that's right. That he had done all of this research, and brought it to this quasi-fictional situation. And I love that. I love it when you're learning stuff, but you're also getting some kind of an emotional impact. And I never really cared about the little kid being possessed. There's been other possession movies that freaked me out worse than that one. It was actually those 200 pages in that book that destroyed me, but also put me on a path to just being really curious. I assume that everything is real. I have yet to find anything that anybody has ever told me about where I'm like, no, that's nonsense. Guys, all the mythology, it's all true. It all happened. All the religions, it's all true on some level of dimension. So just, this is my validating everybody out there that no matter what it is that you have experienced, even if you think, that there isn't, no, there couldn't possibly be somebody standing out in the yard staring through, the window at me while I watch this horror movie. No, there's probably somebody out in the yard staring at you. Happy Halloween.
And his name's Phil.
Trey,
And he has a pet shark.
I think you bring up a good point, because one of the earliest reading things I got into was Stephen King, and I absolutely love Stephen King books. And truly, you cannot get scared in a movie the way you can get scared in a book, because your imagination is way more powerful than anything you're going to watch. And that man in particular, just the way he can describe certain things, like Gerald's Game was the first book I read by him. All in all, not his scariest book, and it has some parts of that book that are truly just spooky, and just really hard to stomach and make you feel really scared and alone. And yeah.
Did you read Pet Sematary or see that movie?
I haven't seen the movie. I don't dare, but I read the book.
That's
the book
probably
is great.
the one that messes me up the worst. Have you guys Pet Sematary?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's amazing. It's still I went to a horror con and met I forgot, I can't remember his name.
Gage?
Not Gage, the older gentleman, or the one that was not the older gentleman, the one that was all dead already and just had his head
Oh yeah.
I forgot his name, but he was amazing. He told me about how, being really cold on set and all the blood and stuff that he was wearing and all that. So it made it a little easier to to put a barrier between reality and being scared of that kind of thing, and also it's just a movie. It's okay.
Yeah.
So.
And Shakira,
What about you, Shakira?
Well, I have two sisters older than me, so I was always behind them watching what they were watching. And I think I was 5 or 6. They were watching X-Files. So it was already very scary, but also fascinating. This is the thing. Even if I was very scared, because the night after I would just stay up till 2 a.m., 3 a.m. I had this very bad insomnia, even as a kid. But I was still wanting to watch it with them. And I think the first actual horror movie I watched was Child Play.
Oh,
Child's Play? Nice.
good one.
So I've been afraid of doll my whole life. And then it was Freddy, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Classic.
I was also very young. I think I was 7 or 8, and I was watching it with my sisters. And the thing is that we were in this very old house, and the house was very big, and how to say that, split it in two. So us, the kids, were having our own part with a kitchen, 2 rooms, and my parents were on the complete other side. So it was like they were almost in another house. And my sister was like, if you want to watch the movie with us, you don't have to say anything to mom and dad, and don't have to complain after that you're afraid. So like, no, 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 I will be brave. I just wanted to spend time with them and to watch the movie. And I was just so afraid after that. And it just like opened the door. Like, I want to see everything that is
Wow.
scary. Yeah. And I think my biggest one who really scared me was The Omen. The Omen?
The Omen, yeah.
The Omen, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
that's a good one.
The original version. I love this movie. I mean, I think till today it's my favorite horror movie. That The Exorcist also really did something to me, like very shake something. Because also from my background, my origin, I grew up with this whole folklore about possession. I mean,
Yeah.
for me, it was, this is true, this can happen. Because when I was then going to Morocco on vacation, I was hearing stories about people getting possessed. So I was like, I can witness that. This can happen to me. I can see some poltergeists. So it was, definitely increasing the fear. So yeah, like Jenny, I'm not into like gory thing. It doesn't do anything to me.
Yeah.
Slasher, I'm just like, okay. But anything paranormal with ghosts, with possession, with spirits is really what is scaring me, but also what I like.
Nice. Yeah, and thematically, so as a storytelling professor, what's grounded in all of those is the fact that we can't win. You are not going to beat the monster, the possession, the demon, the ghost. The best you can hope for is that you survive, and that you get out. And I think that's about as scary as a thing as there can be, that you can't fight it. It's literally just try to live.
Oh yeah.
The scary part is that usually we are the most powerful existing thing on the planet. I mean, usually we are beating everything unless something you can see.
Yeah.
Shakira, did you watch the first Omen, the prequel that came out this past year?
Yeah,
I loved
watched it in Denver.
It was really good. I enjoyed it.
It was.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to the movie theater being like, okay, you really love the original version, but let's give it a shot, a chance. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh,
Very-
it's pretty
yeah.
good. Yeah, I agree.
Pretty good. Yikes.
Well,
I quit
Beth-
watching it. I quit watching horror movies. At some point, I just stopped having any tolerance for violence. I can't do any of them anymore. But
So
hey,
you
I
stop
have
watching all kind of horror movies, right?
all horror movies. Yeah,
Pretty much
I
all
just can't
violence
do
with
them.
you, Trey. Like, you'll skip past
Yeah.
the really violent stuff in general.
I will. Well, when I was, a younger person, I had made the decision that I wasn't going to watch a woman be assaulted or tortured or killed on screen, raped, on screen. And, decades later, I find out that the average American has seen something like 80,000 women be tortured and killed just casually. Hi, NCIS, I'm looking at you. Because it's entertainment. And so I don't have that in my head. But when it was the supernatural, when it was extrapolated into entertainment, for some reason I had more tolerance. But now it's just the violence. I can't do it. Can't do it.
I don't like it either. It's more the creative side of the kills that are that I like. Like, that's how I met Shakira. I was through our love for Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Like, I had a costume, Philip, where Freddy uses him. He pulls out his guts basically and uses him as a marionette puppet to walk him to a ledge.
Using his veins.
Yeah, is exact. And so just like that whole scene is just, it's ridiculous and it's very creative, but it's brutal.
It's not ridiculous. I mean, for me, seriously, when I watch BJ with his cosplay, I mean, I traveled back in time, and I remember being like, just completely mesmerized in front of this scene and be like, this is super creative. This is super, I mean, freaky and horrific and very, yeah, unique. And yeah, just run into him. I'm like, you have been traumatized by this scene too, just
Yeah.
like me.
Yeah, we both had the same situation. And again, I was young too. I was like 10 years old or whatever. And yeah, because a lot of my older brother's 6, 7 years older than me. My cousins are also same age as my brother, and so I was just that 10-year-old, 9-year-old, 8-year-old, just like, hey guys, like, what are you doing? Can I join in and watch this? And the one thing that I've never had a dream about until recently was a Freddy Krueger dream, and I've just had one a couple weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Okay.
Huzzah!
What was really cool is that so Freddy was like about to catch some people or whatever, and I was like, it was weird because I was controlling the action, so I was literally coming up with the way Freddy was killing these people, which was really weird, and I kind of loved it. I woke up and I was like,
Interesting.
I just created I guess I could just watch it and make it happen, like it just visually, it was so cool. Just like, just like writing, but like you could just see it. And I've
Was
never
there
done that
anything that
before.
was valid enough that you could put it into a movie?
So basically, I mean, I don't know if it may have been done. I mean, I'm sure it's been done, but it was drawings of Freddy, and Freddy would come out of the paper and like attack them different ways, like a comic book, but just a little bit different. It's hard to describe. I need to write it out. I saved it. I put it in my phone because I keep a dream journal, of course, because you should. But I'm just excited about, because again, yeah, like horror movies and your dreams just give you so much inspiration to be creative, and I think that's for all of us is a big thing. In the long run, with it's not just our love for the spooky things, but it's the way it can get our creativity going, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm having a lot of nightmares, and my point was like, I have to use all this imagination and energy. So I'm writing all my nightmares, and I'm using them to write my book.
Yes.
So it's not all of it, but like some part is like so vivid that I am trying to like, I have to write this because sometimes I mean, our imagination, as you said, is like the best one to know what is scary, like it's like the perfect shape thing with so many messages and stuff like that to scare you. And I think, yeah, we do have to do something with that and not just let it evaporate. So, yeah. So my advice, BJ, for that, just write it right away. Even if it's just like a feeling, even if it look like it doesn't make sense, but like just to write your dream right away is the best way to keep it a bit real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's some people who believe that imagination is just another word for intuition, and intuition is just another word for paranormal, having some psychic activity going on there. So, BJ, I don't know what's wrong with you, man.
Lots of things for sure, but also it's fun. It's good times.
But also it's fun.
So we are getting close to the end of this episode. I just had a quick question for all of you. If you could recommend one film for anybody to watch on Halloween, what would it be? And I can go first because I thought of the question. I'll give you a second to think about it. So I am wearing a shirt that has a bunch of different drawings from it, and also the mug. So this is Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yay.
Goodness.
And what's great about Killer Clowns from Outer Space that that a lot of people don't know is that the clowns from that movie were actually used as trolls before for Ernest Scared Stupid. So Ernest Scared Stupid, the trolls from that were repurposed later for Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which is pretty awesome,
That's incredible.
right?
Okay, so I have.
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Jenny.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, so I usually don't like the very big blockbuster horror movie because usually they are very predictable and not that good. So this one, I don't know why it didn't have the success it deserved, but the name is Dorothy Mills.
It's called what?
Dorothy Mills. So Dorothy, the name, Mills, Mills.
Okay.
Is that an American movie or is that
No, I
French?
think it's Irish.
Irish. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And what's so unnerving about it?
Dorothy Mills.
It's, I mean, it's scary, but also very denouncing some community hypocrisy, some how we treat people who have this kind of ability. And yeah, just the atmosphere is very unique.
Right on.
Very good.
And the main character is just doing an amazing job.
Is this about a little girl? Is that
Yeah.
Dorothy Mills? So, young girl from a small Irish island who has been accused of trying to murder a baby while babysitting.
Oh.
She lives in an institution, and yeah.
Ooh, institution ones. Yes, those are my jam. Those are the ones that terrify the heck out of me.
Dorothy
And
Mills.
there is nothing graphic in the movie, so nothing very violent or something like that.
Good. Yeah, I think, I mean, to clear the air, my favorite horror movie is Midsummer, but it's my favorite because it's such a good movie outside of the horror. It's not my Halloween recommendation. I feel like there are like Halloween rites of passage movies that you should watch every year. I absolutely think Trick or Treat is one of those movies. I love Trick or Treat. It's just so fun. And then also, The Babadook just had its 10th anniversary. So I would really, really
I
recommend
love it.
watching that too, because, you know, it's very, very low budget art house. Very, very impressive, very low violence for the people who can't handle, but like very, very spooky,
And
Very
emotional.
creepy.
very emotional and creepy. Yeah.
Nice, very nice. I mean, the ones that pop into my head right away are going to be like Ringu, the Japanese version.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm also interested in how different cultures approach their horror. And yeah, Asian horror is different, y'all. If you haven't hit that,
The Wailing.
get on that. I also thought about there's a Doctor Who. I'm actually not going to mention it because the person who wrote it turned out to be worse than the horrible things he wrote. But those of you out there who you know what I'm talking about. But probably the one I would really recommend is Devil's Backbone. So Guillermo del Toro. So yes, there's subtitles. Live with it. And it's about an orphanage where these little boys. It's a haunted orphanage, and there's a bomb that hasn't detonated. That's like in the middle of the courtyard. So it's actually dealing with a lot of social issues. And the haunting goes in a direction that will just tear your heart out. But it's also terrifying. Seeing small children being horrified or terrified is not a favorite thing for me. But I go back to this movie.
Okay.
That's a great one. I was just thinking about, Trey, we were talking about Possession. I think a good Possession movie, and I think most people know about this one. It's also a really good one, but The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Yeah.
That's probably
Yeah.
my favorite exorcism one. Even more than The Exorcist for whatever reason. It just hit me. And I think the actress is just amazing. So that's a good
Jennifer
one.
Carpenter, right?
Yep.
She was in
From
Dexter.
Dexter.
And
Oh, okay. I'll have to
something-
check this out. I have no idea about this movie.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
lucky you.
And I like Jennifer Carpenter, so
Yeah, it's another one of these that's based on, a true story.
Yeah.
So you get to decide how much of it you want to go with or not.
Laura Linney's in it too.
oh, okay.
So that tells you that it's a good quality.
Yeah.
It is. And I agree with you, BJ. I mean, possession movies are usually very bad. I mean, I'm watching all of them just in case I have a very good surprise, but usually they are just like, I mean, as they have today, like more and more money for the special effects, they're just going too much. But this one, I mean, The Exorcism of Emily Rose was very good, and just the right of month of special effect, of scariness. I mean, and even the
And
story is very
character.
interesting.
Like there's an actual cast
Yeah.
going on
Yeah.
there. Yeah. now I'm just thinking about all the institutional movies, and also like all the folks that go and look at haunted places. It's the institutions that are always the worst.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna go into those. That's one where I'm like, I don't think I want to go into a shut down asylum. That's not.
You're just asking for it at that point. If you do, like, something's gonna follow
Right.
you home.
And when you come back rocking in your basement with your purple light, we'll be like, "We told you. We told you."
We followed you.
Oh well.
We want to do the podcast with you.
Yeah, it's another co-host.
Yeah, get a ghost on here.
You brought someone along with you.
Whoops. Well, great guys. This has been amazing. We could talk forever. Like this, there's so many things to just keep talking about. Like I really would like to have you guys on again to specifically we can get into more metaphysical stuff because there's so much that people don't know that I know that you guys know that it's just amazing.
That you know that she knows that he knows. That he knows.
Yes. Yeah. Between the three of you, there's just so much there that I'm just like, I just want to just tap into it, but then we can't because it's like 5 hours later and then we're, but
I
but
haven't told my scariest stories, which were not ghost stories. So there's always more to talk about.
yes. So we'll get into that again next time. But yes, is there anything you guys would like to plug before we finish up here?
No, I mean, we obviously plug our podcast, Light in the Fog podcast. You can find us on pretty much everything, but Spotify probably being the most accessible for a lot of people. iHeartRadio, Pandora, all the good stuff. YouTube as well.
We just did a which movie is witchy for Halloween. So we talk about some of our favorite witch movies for Halloween.
Yeah, that episode's dropping actually as soon as I'm done with this podcast. Yeah, I'll be uploading it.
Yes.
So if you want to hear us talk about witchy movies, then tune into that episode. But yeah, meow.
Cool.
Yeah.
I would say maybe sorry for my English and my mistakes. I mean, sometimes I'm just like
your English
looking
is
for
great.
the right words or the right way to describing. So
No.
that will be my final
That's your
final
plug.
remark.
That's your plug. No, you're great. Stop.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will
BJ,
go ahead
thanks
and
for bringing us
Yeah,
together.
thank you
This was
so
really
much.
fun.
I had a lot of
Much
It
fun.
was so
appreciated.
cool to meet you.
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm always
especially
down to come back.
on a great day like this. It's here in Colorado. It's it's a little cool, but it's beautiful outside, and it's Halloween, so everybody enjoy.
And remember, salt is your friend.
Little more salt, a little less sugar, right?
Yeah.
For those diabetics like myself. So yeah.